Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 52 Weeks, 52 Amazing Authors. And I am here today with Dr. Christopher Dodd. And I have to tell you all, you are in for a treat because I believe the last time that we both saw each other, we had to have been like 12, 13, hadn't started life yet, probably just hit that puberty age. And so here we are um, in the year of 51 for me.
Oh yeah. I like to use the terminology 49 plus at this point.
Oh, no. You know what? For years, I used to say I was 25. Now I am owning every bit of this wisdom that I've gained all over the last, 51 years. So I'm owning it.
Oh man, well you better than me. So maybe I'll listen to the podcast for more motivation to own my age.
Well, my grandfather is 103.
Yeah,
So,
yes, and looking well.
yes, yes. So, why don't you tell our listening, viewing audience a little bit about you, your background? I know you have this amazing family.
Uh, It's amazing.
It is. Well, first of all, you have a wife, right? And he who findeth
Yeah,
a wife, you got a good thing.
found a
You done
good
had a good
thing.
thing for a long
Yeah,
time.
yes. It's funny you mentioned that because we're in the process of working on the next book, and that one we'll be married for. Me and my wife Shalonda will be married for 25 years on August 14th, and that book is going to be called "Let's Grow Together." And
Wow.
so, yeah, so circling around all of my family in these, so hopefully these things can be legacies for them in the when I'm long and gone.
Absolutely.
So I believe your question was tell a little bit about myself.
Yes, and your family.
Sure. Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I've been married to Shalonda for 24 and some months. We'll be married for 25 years, August 14th. I am a girl dad, which is one of the reasons for the book. I have three amazing daughters. Kennedy is my oldest, and she actually went to our alma mater. Me and my wife both graduated undergrad from NIU in DeKalb, and Kennedy is a legacy there. Well, was a legacy there, and now she is a police officer for the University of Chicago. And so she's new in her first real job. My middle daughter, Reagan, is a freshman at Central Michigan, where she's a cheerleader. And she said she was going to come home this weekend, but, we know how that changes with partying arrangements on a college campus. And then there's Madison, who is 14. She's in eighth grade. She's probably she has more athleticism in her pinky than I did ever. So she's a basketball player, track, boxing, anything athletic, and also really good at science too. And so I guess that's the highlight reel of the family. I grew up as only child, and I think my mom probably always wanted a girl, and so she was able to have three granddaughters. So I am a pastor of New Community Church, which is a suburb in Dalton, which is a suburb right out of Chicago, and I've been there for 11 years. I also work as a learning development manager for Lawndale Christian Health Center, where I help leaders grow within their leadership, how to lead self and how to lead others. And so that's just a little bit about my family and what I do for a living. And but one of my greatest joys now that I picked up in the pandemic is I love riding my bike. I put my headphones on and get out here on these trails. And based upon book sales, maybe I can get me a new bike this summer.
I love it. I love it. When you did your introduction, I immediately had a flashback to eighth grade. And for my eighth grade, and you may not know this, but for my eighth grade graduation, um, Lawrence Mosley Sr. did the prayer at the beginning.
Wow.
And it's so interesting to see that his son, Larry Mosley Jr., Reverend Lawrence Mosley Jr., is a pastor. You're a pastor. And as kids, I don't know about you, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I definitely didn't think I was going to be a first lady. That
Yeah.
was just not in my ministry. But
Yeah.
it's so amazing to see the 50-year-old version of you, as a pastor, as a father, as a
Yeah.
kids just trying to
Yeah.
figure out life.
Well,
So,
still have some stuff I'm trying to figure out too. So
oh yes,
yeah, I have
yes.
not arrived in that figuring it out phase.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that because I, about 12 months ago, decided to become comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm,
And when that happened, I started to get in alignment with my purpose. I've been
mm.
in healthcare for 32 years, but that's
Wow.
not my true purpose. And so I realized, I don't know if it was approaching a midlife crisis, or I just started to realize that there was more for me in life. And I just started looking full speed ahead. I don't have any regrets about life, but
Mm,
I will tell you the foundation that we got at Lilydale set the stage for me,
yeah.
because you remember doing those Easter speeches and
Yeah.
singing in the
Still
choir.
doing Easter speeches.
But it prepared you, right? Because you remember you do your speech and then you like make a mistake and somebody say, go ahead, baby, keep on going, right? So
Yeah.
today I know as a pastor, you don't have that same setup, but you do have somebody saying, preach, pastor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, we hope.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the book. I read the book, and
Thank
it
you.
was quite interesting, that you, having had three girls, wanted to have a boy.
Yes. 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 I think as a as a male, sometimes I guess this is like maybe a sexist statement. You always picture, your son wearing your basketball jersey or showing up at games and stuff like that, and thinking through how do you carry the name, right? And so, yeah, so that was a desire that God said, I got something different for you.
Absolutely. So let's dig in a little bit to the book. We don't want to, give everybody all the contents of the
Give
book.
give them whatever you want. And for any of your listeners that I would like to donate 2 copies, so just let me know. 2 people that subscribe, however you do, whoever subscribes first or whatever like that. But I would like to donate 2 books to them.
Oh, thank you. So when I read the book, there was a sentence that you wrote that resonated with me, which was really basically kids don't come with a user's manual, right? And I remember getting pregnant and giving birth to my daughter 30 days before I turned 19.
Wow.
And I read the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, right? And then
Yeah.
she came here and I was like, whoa, the book was okay. But now the real journey begins when you're trying to figure out, who I was trying to figure out who I was as a single parent, and then trying to learn about this little creature who I just gave birth to. And I remember lots of days feeling like I can't do this. Like
Mm,
I cannot be this girl's mother. But I started to really lean back on, my upbringing and the family support system that I had, and realized I can do it. However, 32 years later, I can tell you I'm still learning her,
yeah.
just as she's learning me.
Yes.
And one of the things I think that's unique for our relationship, my daughter and I, she doesn't talk, she can't hear. And
Mm,
so, our dynamic is next level different. But I
yeah.
think we figured it out because she's able to articulate her needs to me and I can understand them, and she gets what she wants on a regular basis.
Amen.
So you're in the house with three girls, plus your wife. That's a lot of estrogen in the house.
Yes.
What?
Maybe I was learning some things, but I wasn't intentionally learning. My mom was a very strong Black woman. And so a lot of what I viewed womanhood was based upon my mom. And so, her faith in God, her commitment to education. My mom was a Chicago public school teacher for over 30 plus years. How women dressed exteriorly, you know what I mean? It's just certain things, even as a boy, certain things I just wasn't able to do because, we grew up old school, right? And so, when certain hairstyles would come out, I wanted me a Jerry curl too. She said, "Boy, you're not gonna have that messy stuff messing up my furniture." So I would say that, as I look back and reflect, those were kind of some core things that I would hope to see within my daughters, right? The commitment to God, commitment to how you present yourself internally and externally, but then thirdly, education, whether that is formal education or informal education, because we're all wired differently. I never thought, some graduated summa cum laude. I graduated, thank you, Lordy, because I don't know how. When I look back, how I was able to achieve some of those things with God.
Wow. So, I'm going to ask you this question because as the oldest daughter, who had a men in my family had a huge role in my life. So, of course, I was my father's first daughter,
Mm.
but then I spent a lot of time with my
The
grandfather,
granddad. Yeah.
Deacon Campbell, right?
Yeah.
And going to church was like not something that you discussed. We just went, right? But then also my uncle William, who would take us home from church because my grandfather was in the room counting the
Count
money.
money. Count money.
Yes,
That's important.
yes, yes. And
You can't have everybody counting money either.
listen. Matter of fact, you can't have everybody swiping the cards either, because people just be a little
Yeah.
shady. But you know what? Today, Granddaddy is still good with money at 103. But I think about when I was older, I got married later in life, and I
Sure.
think about um, meeting or re-meeting my husband because we dated in high school, and the
Wow.
man he is actually bits and pieces of my father, my grandfather, my uncle, because I was definitely the helpless. I can't take the garbage out. I can't turn a screwdriver. I can't do any of those things because the men in my life did that for me. So, what do you think is gonna, you don't know what the future holds, but you've raised three amazing young ladies with your wife. Do you want them to marry a man that's just like you?
Well, it depends on what phase of development in regards to that. So one of the things I journal about, Dr. Campbell, is I put in there, Lord, I pray that you bless my daughters with godly husbands. And so I've been praying that same prayer uh, pretty much since each one has been born. And typically at some point during the week, it's a part of my journal. Um, because I believe that if they can, if God blesses them with the husband with Christian, really Christian character, I think that they're going to be okay. And not that your faith saves every marriage, but it's a major component to how you deal with disagreements. How do you love your wife as God loved the church? And I think one of the greatest comments I think I've heard from my daughters was that they say, well, we got couples goals, right? And they would want to mirror some of the things, not everything, because we have not arrived, and but to see them, because they know me more than what people see posted on social media, and I I pray that I am much more of a private success than public. Because these are the people that they're not fans, they're family. And I want to, and I get it wrong too. Uh, on, certain things, I say the wrong things, I respond the wrong way. But, even this week, my daughter was saying, "Hey, Dad, my oldest, she's a police officer, but she's back home because we still got that Parent Plus in my name, and so we need her to pay that off." But she was having a conversation with me about she's like, "Hey, when I got offended when you said this," and I had to apologize. Like, man, I'm so I'm sorry. And so I say all that to say that, man, it's praying for them to have a godly husband, but understanding that people are human, and we gotta figure out how to navigate the best we can with what we got.
Well, listen, I am excited to hear that your daughter used her voice, right? Because,
Oh, all of them don't have no problem.
well, that's important, right? Because this world will really hurt you. And if you don't know how to express yourself, you're in trouble. So I applaud you for raising women. And I know your wife had a part in this journey, right? A huge part.
Yeah,
Um,
because maybe it's because they beat me into shape. Maybe because I've been, and I'm outnumbered, so my voice isn't the loudest in the room.
yes. And listen, you 4 to 1, right?
Yeah. Well, recently we adopted a male dog, Brody. Brody, and to stick with the presidential theme, I gave him a middle name, Hussein. So he's Brody Hussein Dodd.
I love it. I love it. Well, I have to tell you, I am so just proud of you because the world would have us think that men, in particular, Black men, don't take care of their responsibilities. So, being married for 25 years, staying the course, raising your amazing daughters is something to be proud of. And my grandfather, when I asked him, I'm like, "Granddad, what's the key to living a long life?" You know what he said? Put God first and love everybody. And I'd be like, sometimes, Granddaddy, it'd be hard to love everybody.
Yeah. Wow. I got to write that down.
Yes, write that down because that's what Granddaddy said. And as Granddaddy was with his walker rolling around my 50th birthday party last year, everybody was like, "That's your granddaddy walking around. He don't even, he was 102 then. He don't even look 102." But he tells us that repeatedly. And he also says something that really just sticks with me. You call him on the phone or he FaceTimes me. He'll say, "If you need me, call me," right? And he means it. And I think that's important today to be a man or a woman of your word, because that's really at the end of the day something that you got that's free, right? Doesn't cost you anything to honor your commitments, honor your word. And
Mm.
so I believe every word that Granddaddy says, even though Granddaddy, let me tell you about Granddaddy. I don't know if you know this about Granddaddy. He might hurt me for saying this. Granddaddy says all the ladies love him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He cool, He cool Deacon Campbell, man.
He
He
is.
cool. You could trust him with the money, Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? And he grew up in a time where you didn't have a lot and you made it work, right? And I think about he's in the same house that he's been in since 1960 something. Same house. So when you look at the stability in housing, stability in his faith, right? Stability in his commitment to going to church. My grandfather and grandmother were married for 78 years. 78. Some people don't even live to be 78 years of age, let alone be married for 78 years. And it just amazes me. And having only been married for 12 years, I'm trying to just continue to grow to the next level. But just like parenthood doesn't come with the user's manual, neither does being married, right? You're figuring each other out, especially as you continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the book is, man. You are already, maybe I need to get you for a chapter in my next book.
Listen, listen. I tell people all the time, for a long time, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, I thought that my husband was going to be somebody from church, right? And
Mm,
he wasn't, right? For a long time, I had a different definition of what it meant to be equally yoked. And I realized after we reconnected was that he was just what I needed for me. He found me, right? Because he's the one that went on to Facebook and was asking somebody, "Where is Lisa Campbell?" He said he's always been following me, right? And he tells me quite often, like, "I've always loved you." But what I love about him
wow.
is how he treats his children, right? He's the example of the father that, a little strict, right? He's definitely got some old school values. And so when I was reading in the book, I started flashing back to some conversations he had with the girls. So it's, three girls, one boy, some conversations he's had with them, some conversations he's had with individuals that have come over to take them on a date.
Oh, oh,
But as a black man, and this is not about black men, but I can only
no,
speak to
no.
my experience. It's so refreshing to see black men handling their business, right? Taking care of family, being the head of the household so that the woman can be in we can be in our place, even though we're a little strong. So we the we the
A little strong or a lot strong? You did
well
like this. I was gonna do more like this.
well yes, Adam and Eve, that hey, you know how that went down. So it's
Yeah.
still happening today. We definitely have an influence over, over the world. But I think that so many young girls long to have their fathers, that your daughters are so fortunate to have you in their life, for you to be the example of how they're supposed to be treated, right? You're exhibiting that with your wife, right? So they have that example. And the women who don't have that example, they will allow the world to be that example for them. And that's
Wow.
not what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. To God be the glory.
So, what's your favorite part of the book?
I think for me, the favorite part of the book is the sections where my girls got to give comments. Um, so when we were working through this, my editor, sometimes they would like, well, I don't want to write it all out, but can I talk and record? And then my editor cleaned it up, and I'm like, I don't care, just I need to, because this is the first time. This is actually like my third writing project. So the first book is called The Trauma and Transition, and that dealt with more kind of like leadership transition within the church. And then the second thing was the Ignite Planner. But this was the first time I've ever included someone else in the project. And I'm I'm not type A, but I'm pretty structured. And so like, so there's deadlines and stuff. And they're like, well, I ain't feeling inspired. But one of the things that I really enjoyed is when they would all kind of get together and just hear what they thought of my parenting. And it's in some ways it's scary too, you know what I mean? Because I wanted them to talk about their authentic self. And so there's a part of the book when my oldest, Kennedy, uh, I believe it's a chapter when I talked about the pledge of presence. And Kennedy talked about another, like one of her classmates, her dad had came to the game, and her friend was just so excited, and she was like, man, I'm never like that because he always there, you know what I mean? And so that meant a lot to me, just to hear, their perspective of some of the sacrifices that were made and the things that they remember. Reagan remembers, which I hated. So Reagan she's our child that jumped off furniture, so we needed to find either gymnastics or something to put in. But so she's always loved cheer and driving to those cheer competitions, and they're loud. I mean, super loud, and she looking to make sure you're paying attention, and so the things that they remember, probably one of the things that I would, kind of look at what my good parenting, right? I'm kind of old school, and they're like, man, you got lights and food. That's what a good dad does. But they remember me driving, to cheer competitions or me showing up at games where, so that I think that would be the most proud moment of the book is hearing their voices.
Oh, well, this episode is going to air Father's Day weekend. So I want to tell you,
Excellent.
happy Father's Day. Thank you for
Thank you.
being an example.
Man, hopefully I
Um,
get a good gift too, right? So when they listen to the episode, so send something to them so I can get me a really good Father's Day gift this year.
I love it. I love it. And you know what's so interesting? In my life, outside of my father, my grandfather, my uncle, I've only had two pastors, and that's Reverend Mosley and
Mm,
then Bishop Campbell. And so, seeing them as fathers, seeing you as a father, seeing Larry Mosley as a father, it just makes me so happy to see that you're holding it down, because
mm,
the world needs to see this. They need to see that men know how to take care of their responsibilities, but then continue to grow as a person. My husband jokes about this all the time, that he couldn't buy his first pair of Jordans until after the kids were out of the house, because
mm,
you sacrifice so much of yourself to give them the basic necessities. But then, even though we grew up old school, we gave our children things that we may not have necessarily have gotten, right? So being at
yeah,
all the events and all the things and trips and things that they've got to experience, but that's a testament to the foundation that was laid for us, and you laid that foundation for them so that they can carry that in their households when they get married one day. Or maybe, hey, maybe they won't get married. Our son
yeah.
said for a long time that he wasn't getting married, and he went to that Air Force, and all of a sudden he got a wife and we got two grandchildren. So
Wow. Congratulations.
thank you. Well, do you have any parting words? And I'm gonna let everybody hear this title again, because I think it's so important, so timely. And as I'm reading this, I want you to think about any final words that you want to say. But the title of the book, A Guide to Being a Girl Dad, the Five Pledges of Fatherhood: Presence, Prayer, Protection, Praise, and Pursuit, by Dr. Reverend Christopher E. Dodd.
So final parting words is that I believe that those pledges can serve as a blueprint. Um, no matter where you're at, dads, um, you're needed. You're needed. And you can pick up today and begin rebuilding relationships. And so please, implement those small tools. Might be some more P's that can go along with it, but um, I believe that our community, our community needs you. And another reason I wrote is that there are zillions, I don't know if zillions is the word, but there are many great Black fathers, and it's not highlighted. When I'm at the game, I'm sitting talking to people that look just like me, other Black dads. Actually, today, someone I was at the gym, and a Black father gave me some baseball tickets, and I called another Black dad, and he's like, "I'm gonna take because I couldn't do it today. He's like, I'm gonna take my daughter Aaliyah. We're going to the baseball game." And so there are great dads out there. This is just my story. I'm not perfect. I have a lot of areas of growth, and I might have to have another another book with them as they matriculate in their careers or relationships and stuff like that. And so I'm just grateful to be on this platform. And dads, you rock. Black dads, you rock.
I love it. I'm gonna give you a 6P. Patience.
That I, no, that's because I don't want it. I know I need it. That's probably one of the ones I edited out because I don't because I struggle with patience. So if I'd have put it in writing, then people would be looking for me to be patient.
Well, listen, you have been patient because you've been married for 25 years, and that takes a lot of patience and understanding, and you've gained wisdom. And nobody is perfect, right? I always say practice makes progress. Forget trying to be perfect. It's selfish to
Mm,
be perfect, right? Because nobody is
mm.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Practice makes progress.
Yes, write
Yeah,
that down. Now you can quote
yeah.
me
Let me write
if
that
you
down.
if you given a I can't even think of the word. If you're
I'll
preaching
tweet
one
if I'm gonna tweet
Sunday,
that. I'm gonna tweet that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
tweet that. And then also, and I think you figured this out as a husband, a father, a preacher, a man. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable because that's when the magic happens. And I'm sure during this 25 years of marriage, raising these three amazing young ladies, you had to be uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, I'm still uncomfortable. There's a quote that says the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there.
Mm,
And
mm.
so hopefully I'm growing.
You are. Listen, I haven't seen you since I was 12. So you definitely have grown a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Not hopefully not too wide.
Well, listen, that's a struggle as a menopausal woman. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Got you.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you so
today.
much, Dr. Campbell. I'm grateful for you considering me to be a part of your platform, and I wish you nothing but success and happiness and growth in your marriage with your family and the many hats that you wear and in your purpose.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. This has been another amazing episode 52 authors, 52 weeks. I'll see you next time.
Blessings.